And again, we kind of have a welcome to the WCW Saturday Night Review series. This is the 17th of November 1990 edition. And again, we continue our foray here. This is Pro Wrestling Logic. We continue the foray into the wonder that is the WCW Saturday Night. We've got. I've actually watched all through '89, starting '88 in reverse. Obviously, we're going to cover everything we can, then move on to another series. But needless to say, WCW 1990 is an interesting time for a number of reasons. Partially because it's the, I guess, crowning of Sting as the franchise guy, for lack of better terminology, at least in the first little while here, and also kind of a just a reminder that WCW at the time is certainly a messed up place to be. They had a lot of potential with talent at the time, but also they had a lot of misgivings, for lack of a better term, and ultimately those misgivings ultimately lead to a lot of wasted energy, a lot of wasted time, and some stuff here. We'll do the best to cover what we can, and over the next couple of weeks, hopefully get to a level of WCW Saturday Night. I'd like to get to 89 in March. I'd like to actually get through with the whole Saturday Night experiment by the beginning of April. But I don't know that I'll have time to record, 4 or 5 years worth of content, a couple hundred audios in that time, plus cover all of the regular stuff that we cover on the channel and run three businesses and. So hopefully can get something done there. Anyway, this is again a interesting time for a number of reasons. It's interesting because, like I said, the crowning of Sting, they're still looking for, and the Horsemen are still here, which most people kind of look at the Horsemen as being an 80s thing, but the Horsemen do continue through Flair leaving in 1992, and so, or actually in late 91, summer 91. So, that's part of it too, in that I think in a lot of cases, the Horseman thing kind of keeps things more grounded, I guess, and real maybe, but at the same time also getting ready for the Clash of the Champions, among other things at the time. Here, just a few days shy of the Clash, 2 or 3 days shy of the Clash, and that Clash is tied to the idea of Flair in a more conducive environment, Flair in a more babyface environment, which the 90 Horsemen are babyfaces more than heels, at least for part of the time. But anyway, we move to, and this is a shorter version. This is a 1 hour version of WCW at the time, or actually just over an hour in broadcast time. And again, kind of looking for a place to belong for lots of the talents, looking for some pretty basic things that don't necessarily need to be out of alignment, but an enhancement match for the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys. Of course, that is Steve Armstrong, Tracy Smothers. They kind of go back and forth through this matchup here. Pretty basic match. Obviously, Armstrong and Smothers not really having a clear direction at the time, but Tracy Smothers, super phenomenal talent, drop toe holds, dropping elbows and arms right on his man, and basically getting everything going in a positive direction, certain roll-ups. Then we go to Flying Brian Pillman and Rip Rogers, eventually into the forward program. But, the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys are in a basic position. Tracy Smothers at the time could have been used so much better. Eventually, his WCW run comes to an end, and his main deal goes to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. There is a highlight film of Moondog Rex going at it with Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner gets the belly-to-belly win, and this is from a previous week. over Moondog Rex. Moondog Rex not really necessarily having much going on for himself at the time, but getting enough. Then we go to Terry Taylor in an enhancement match. Taylor, of course, getting ready for a run with Arn Anderson for a little while over the TV title. Also, that's part of this program as well, Terry Taylor. But then we go to Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner doing the Gauntlet series. Also with Tim Horner. Tim Horner, who within a couple of weeks here is in a babyface tag team with Brad Armstrong, just showing kind of the shift in bookers consistently. Steiner does lift Tim Horner onto the top rope in a very, kind of the one-armed lift that Bob Backlund used to do sort of way. Rick Steiner at this point in 1990 still having easily a challenge at the very least in remaining consistent. Then we, in terms of just not being fully established, of course, coming in to WCW in 1989, so not having a great deal of experience there. Steiner gets taken down and out wrestled a bit by Tim Horner. Horner eventually does succumb to Steiner and the Steiner line, Rick Steiner getting a roll up there. More hype for the upcoming clash. Dave Perry against JW Storm, Motor City Madman here. Motor City Madman, basically a big brawler, doing the leather thing, almost like a biker gimmick. Dave Perry, an enhancement talent that hasn't been seen much before. And, I mean, this is a very one-sided match. Motor City Madman has an alliance with Mr. Hughes at the time. Motor City Madman basically doing a lot of punching and kicking in a sidewalk slam, almost akin to a level of Kevin Nash in a sense. Then we get a enhancement match from Tom Zink. Zink coming off his U.S. Tag Team title series with Brian Pillman earlier in 1990. That's basically where Zink does the majority of his thriving. Lots of, attempted tie-ups by the enhancement talent. The enhancement talent getting a little bit of an advantage here. Takes a couple of shots at Zink, although doesn't necessarily get everything he wants out of things. Big body slams, and Zink goes to the top rope, cross body 1, 2, 3, and there we go. Then, cross body off the top gets the win for Zink. The Teddy Long promo that follows is pretty cool because he's advocating for Doom to be the team that gets rid of Ric Flair and the Horsemen, basically, putting his tag team championships with Doom up against Flair and Wyndham at the Clash of the Champions in a few days. He will be a chauffeur if Doom doesn't defeat the Horsemen. Magnum Force, which is a tag team I don't know a lot about. Basically, they are ripoffs of like a Magnum PI type character, but they have a very basic match: headlocks, drop kicks, arm bars, and the like. Tries to take the man down pretty simply, and this time, they get a victory and a top rope clothesline, and then a diving, elevated, almost, I guess you'd say, heart attack, doomsday device type maneuver. Then we go to Sting facing off with Buddy Landel. Sting, of course, your world champion, having won the championship at the Great American Bash 1990. Sting also managing to get some hip tosses, running clotheslines. Sting still needing, I wouldn't say necessarily help, but certainly needing some degree of direction in there, and Landel able to bring that out of Sting. Worth going out of your way to see this particular match because Landel is fantabulous at selling for Sting and making Sting look like $1 million. Sting certainly needing that, only being a couple of years, or a couple of months rather, into his championship reign, and obviously losing the belt in the early part of 1991, but going into still doing the Black Scorpion deal. Landel actually looks like he is extremely competitive with Sting in this particular contest. Landel goes to the top rope and manages to get what looks to be almost an advantage, but it doesn't really come out that way. Sting does the slam off the top and ultimately gets things going in that direction. Sting eventually does get Stinger Splash, and the Scorpion Deathlock, and a victory over none other than Buddy Landell. And I gotta grab my phone, so we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail to finish this off. And again, we go to the Night Stalker, Brian Clark, who comes out of the AWA. I did not realize he was in WCW at this time because this is my first time watching the 1990 edition of WCW on a consistent basis. Anyway, Night Stalker coming forward into an enhancement match, Jamie McKinnon. Night Stalker also managed, oddly enough, by Ox Baker, which is just bizarre to me. Ox Baker, for the most part, at least when I met and knew Ox, he was a Northeast New England guy. I actually did some training with folks in a barn that I was involved with for a while. Ox Baker is certainly a very interesting character, but bringing in the Night Stalker kind of giving him a little bit of extra credibility, I think. Ox Baker kind of getting things around. Big clotheslines by the Night Stalker and managing to go after things in a pretty aggressive manner, and ultimately he manages the diving elbow and ultimately kind of getting things there. And the pump handle slam, a victory for none other than the Night Stalker here, and kind of getting things going there. We then go to a kind of an enhancement match here with a couple of individuals, enhancement talents, as it were, Morton and Tommy Rich. So two NWA standouts. Tommy Rich at this time is in, well, questionable shape at the to be nice. Not great shape otherwise. Even has trouble getting up for a drop kick and other such. Not quite sure why Michael Hayes would be paired with a guy who is an enhancement talent here, but basically the idea of the match seems to be getting both members of the babyface team over. Figure four pretty aggressively by the Tommy Rich quadrant. And then we go to Mr. Hughes, who obviously looks much, much better in a business suit in an enhancement match, pulls his man up. He, at this point, still aligned with the Motor City Madman, dropping the knee and kind of a power slam. Hughes, a just very thick talent at the time. I wouldn't say, obviously very muscular. Pulls his man up multiple times and eventually gets the victory with a modified power slam. Also tries to get everything he can done in a quick order there. And again, this will close the show out, and we will be back with more right after this.